Good evening and welcome to Class 3, Class 4 and Class 5 for our evening Stories from the Shed. Danny, the Champion of the World, Chapter 9 by Roald Dahl. Now, but before we start, we've got a bit of news. Now, if you remember, I've asked you to make artwork that will go up on our art gallery, and you've done loads of super artwork today that I'm going to be showing everybody tomorrow. But for tonight, I'd like you to see a bit of news that's happened at Holly's house. Okay, now, Holly's had some new arrivals. These are some of her bunnies that have been born. His nickname is Boxhead, apparently. And here's another one. And here's another one. I think this is Lilo or Lilo. I'm not sure. And there's another. Aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they gorgeous? And this one, I think this one's called, no, I'm not sure, let me have a look. I think this one's called Dipper. Okay, and finally we've got one there. Isn't that lovely? What a lovely bit of news. So congratulations to Holly and Lucy for their rabbits. Now then, let's get on and say hello. Let's get on and say hello to everybody. And let's say hello first to Rebel. Evening, Rebel. Okay, let's see you again do that, Rebel. Evening, Rebel. There we are. Okay. Our Rebel's in good form tonight. And over to Pesco, of course. Okay, Pesco the pheasant, roosting away. It's past his bedtime now. So let's get on with Chapter 9. Danny and his dad had got back to the workshop after escaping from the pit where Danny's dad had fallen down. And if you remember, Danny's dad was lying on the floor of the workshop. Oh, Rebel's getting excited again. He was lying on the floor of the workshop and he called Doc Spencer, his old friend, to help him. Let's get a close-up of them. There they are. Lovely. My father once told me that Doc Spencer had been looking after the people of our district for nearly 45 years. He was over 70 now and could have retired long ago. But he didn't want to retire, and his patients didn't want him to either. He was a tiny man with tiny hands and feet and a tiny round face. The face was as brown and wrinkled as a shriveled apple. He was some sort of an elf. I used to think of to myself each time I saw him, a very ancient sort of elf, with wispy white hair and steel-rimmed spectacles. A quick, clever little elf with a swift eye and a flashing smile and a fast way of talking. Nobody feared him. Many people loved him, and he was especially gentle with children. "Which ankle?" he asked. "The left one," my father said. Doc Spencer knelt on the floor and took from his bag a pair of large scissors. Then, to my astonishment, he proceeded to slit the cloth of my father's left trouser leg right up to the knee. He parted the cloth and looked at the ankle, but he didn't touch it. I looked at it too. The foot seemed to be bent round sideways, and there was a huge swelling below the ankle bone. "Oh, that's a nasty one," Doc Spencer said. "We'd better get you into hospital right away. May I use your phone?" He called the hospital and asked for an ambulance. Then he spoke to someone else about taking x-rays and doing an operation. "How's the pain, William?" Doc Spencer asked. "Would you like me to give you something?" "No," my father said. I'll wait till I get there." "As you wish, William. But how on earth did you do it? Did you fall down the steps of that crazy caravan?" Not exactly," my father said. "No." The doctor waited for him to go on. So did I. Here's a picture of Doc Spencer, as we find in the book. "As a matter of fact," he said slowly, "I was mooching around up in Hazel's Wood." He paused again and looked at the doctor, who was still kneeling beside him. "Ah," the doctor said. "Yes, I see. And what's it like up there these days? Plenty of pheasants?" "Stacks of them," my father said. "Well, it's a great game," Doc Spencer said, sighing a little. I only wish I was young enough to have another go at it. He looked up and saw me staring at him. You didn't know I used to do a bit of poaching myself, did you, Danny? No, I said. I was absolutely flabbergasted. Many a night, Doc Spencer went on, after evening surgery was over, I used to slip out the back door and go striding over the fields to one of my secret places. Sometimes it was pheasants, and other times it was trout. Plenty of big brown trout in the stream in those days. He was still kneeling on the floor beside my father. Try not to move, he said to him. Lie quite still. My father closed his tired eyes, then opened them again. Which method did you use for the pheasants? He asked. Gin and raisins, Doc Spencer said. I used to soak the raisins in gin for a week, then scatter them in the woods. It doesn't work, my father said. I know it doesn't, the doctor said, but it was enormous fun. One single pheasant, my father said, has got to eat at least 16 gin-soaked raisins before he gets tilly enough for you to catch him. My own dad proved that with roosters. I believe you, the doctor said. That's why I never caught any. But I was hot stuff with trout. Do you know how to catch a trout, Danny, without using a rod and line? No, I said. How? You tickle him. Tickle him? Yeah, the doctor said. Trout, you see, they like to lie close to the river bank. So you go creeping along the bank until you see a big one. And you come up behind him and you lie down on your tummy. And then slowly, very slowly, you lower your hand into the water behind him. And you slide it underneath him. And you begin to stroke his belly up and down with the tip of one finger. And there's Doc Spencer. And there he is, there's a stream, and he's got his hand, and he's tickling a trout, as he calls it. In fact, children, you all know, in Preston, on the motorway, when your mums and dads drive you into Preston and out, often they'll go on the motorway, and they go past a big hotel, and it go over the River Ribble, where the bridge is, and the big hotel, as your mum and dad will both know, is called the Tickled Trout. Okay, so next time you go driving out with your mum or dad, then you'll know. Will he really let you do that, I asked. He loves it, the doctor said. He loves it so much he sort of dozes off. And as soon as he dozes off, you quickly grab hold of him and flip him out of the water onto the bank. That works, my father said, but only a great artist can do it. I take my hat off to you, sir. Thank you, William, Doc Spencer said gravely. Now, children, they've been talking about how to tickle a trout, but do you know what a trout looks like? Well, you're very lucky, because in Mr. Spencer's shed, I have what I call my fishing hall of fame. Follow me. Now, this is my fishing hall of fame. Where have I got? There it is, the fishing hall of fame. Now, it's only the best photos, my best fishing photos that go onto here. So I'm going to show you some pictures. What does a trout look like? Well, there's Mr. Spencer with a very large trout, which I can't quite see there. Let's have a look. There's a trout going back there. Let's see if we can focus in on it. That's a lovely brown trout from the River Calder. It's going back. And let's see if we can see another one. Here's a beauty. I've got lots of fishing photos up here. That's a beauty. That was from the River Hodder. And he went back safely. I put all my fish back, don't you worry. That's a lovely grayling. That's my Charlie catching a fish. So there's a trout as well. So now you know what a trout looks like. Okay? And that's what Doc Spencer, he doesn't use a rod and line like me. He tickles them with his hands. He's obviously quite an artist. Now, I bet Victor Hazel wouldn't like him and William, Danny's father, up in the woods at the same time. The only thing is, I wonder where Danny's gone. Oh no, Victor Hazel's got Danny.